saying when the music's playing, stuff like that. People can barely hear it. They can sort of hear it. I turn the audio down a little bit so they can hear some noise, just so they know something's happening. Probably can't hear exactly what we're saying, but it doesn't really matter because I'm not saying anything at all. I'm just keeping my lips just forcing sound. Are you ready? Okay, let's count up the number. 3, 2, 1. Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 57 of the Old Men Magic podcast. It is Tuesday, September 12th, 2023. Thank you for joining us for another episode. Last episode, if you remember, we discussed the Licid cycle from Tempest. View-wise, it was one of our worst performing podcasts we've ever done, Alex. We were like reverting back to week one, week two of the podcast when it came to clicks. So I thought to myself, what can we do next week to turn this thing around? I decided that what we need to do is talk about Licids again. The people have told us that they don't want Licids, that they're not interested in Licids, but the people don't always know what they want. No. We're going to give them more Licids. Eventually, they're going to learn to love these creatures. This time, we are covering Licids from Stronghold and Exodus. And then this will be the end of the Licids, because that's the end of Licids and Magic. We're also today going to be discussing some reprints from Wilds of Eldraine that are of interest to me. I'm not going to do a full set review. I'm just going to talk about one particular part of the set. Before we get into the meat of the episode, I have a follow-up to last episode, Alex.
Okay.
I found something that Mark Rosewater, Morrow, had to say about the Licids. It was in an article titled Make No Mistake, written in February of 2012. In this article, he talked about some of the classic mistakes that they made with designing Magic cards. And this one in particular caught my eye. Number 5, biggest mistake, mechanics. Too confusing in the rules. The Licids. He says, as I mentioned before, the Licids have caused so many rules headaches. The rules team has a running joke to stop even acknowledging that they exist. The major problem with them is that changing back and forth between two different card types, especially where one is a local effect, opens a can of ugly worms. Ugly worms. Why design still experiments with virgin design space and even occasionally sticks its toe into card type changing effects. We've learned to talk to the rules people much earlier in the process. So this is something I've heard before, that they were super confusing to me. I didn't realize this was what Morrow considers one of the biggest mistakes ever in Magic design. I'll say again what I said last episode. They don't seem that complicated to me. But honestly, that's probably because there's so much about Magic that I don't quite understand, because I'm still getting back into the swing of the game. You know, like if they're confusing the rules team and judges consistently, I'm probably just not imagining all the scenarios where the Licids could get incredibly confusing. I'm like, oh, who cares? Creature to enchantment, creature to enchantment. But there's probably all sorts of things that trigger, and conversations about what can be responded to and where things end up on the stack that I'm not thinking about.
Yeah, I thought, like 3 things kind of. I thought, I agree with you. I think first, like on the surface level, they're pretty simple. Like you said, they just swap from one to the other, 2, the wording on them is confusing. The way they choose to describe it is messy and weird, and it makes you kind of scratch your head when you read the card. But once you figure out what it does, like it's, like you said, it's pretty straightforward. And I think 3, like you said, it's probably just because of timing issues with cards not being there when they used to be there a second ago, and things being on the stack and being, pulled out of, play and those sorts of things.
I am still definitely struggling with the stack. Every time I think about Mog Fanatic, I'm like, hold on a second. I can't do 2 damage with Mog Fanatic anymore. What do you mean? And then I have to think it through. And then I'm like, oh, that makes perfect sense. And then a week later, I forget. And I'm like, what do you mean? But that was the one follow-up I had the last episode, I just wanted to talk about how the Licids are so confusing that Morrow put them on his list of biggest mistakes that they've ever made in Magic. But now that I have this pulled up, I just want to talk about something that's totally off topic too.
Oh, okay.
I saw that biggest mistake number 7 was making a card that was way too underpowered. It's Sorrow's Path, which I often see on lists of like the worst card named as the worst card in the history of Magic. I thought this was funny. He said, "It's a card so bad I felt compelled to build decks and try to win with it. The only way to do it with any consistency is to give the land to your opponent and then continually tap it. The card is so bad that the only way to win with it is to somehow get it under the control of your opponent." So I guess that's one thing you could do with Sorrow's Path. I remember this as a terrible land from the dark, but I couldn't remember exactly what it does. It does 2 damage to its controller and to the controller's creature whenever it's tapped. So Rishadon port this bitch.
Yeah, I mean,
this tells you
because the art's so like unusual and interesting, and I feel bad for the dark because it's underpowered as a set.
This price chart for Sorrow's Path, what many consider to be the worst card ever printed in Magic, just shows you how ridiculous prices got after, we haven't been in Magic long enough. We were out of it when a lot of the price moves were happening, right? Mm-hmm. Especially at the beginning when the buyouts. When the buyouts were starting. But I often hear people talk about how 2018 was a big year, stuff getting bought up like crazy. And you see Sorrow's Path start to jump in 2018 like a lot of cards. But the fact that this card, which is a card many people consider to be like one of the worst cards ever printed in Magic the Gathering, even this card like 10x'd in price in 2020, 2021, just shows you how ridiculous all this stuff is. This might be a good card to watch. Like when this one settles back down to its pre-pandemic price, you can be like, okay, now all of that excess is out of the market. Sorrow's Path is back to where it should be. Everything is right in the world again. And then you could start buying some stuff at what might be fair prices. If you keep going
up again, then everything else is like on a bubble too.
The bubble is officially popped when Sorrow's Path goes back down to under $5. Anywho, tangent. But that was a follow-up that I had to last episode. Now that we've mentioned how confusing the Licids are and how Wizards of the Coast never wants to reprint them again, let's start segment 1, Alex. Segment 1 is more about Licids. We're going to cover the Licids of Stronghold and Exodus. And the reason we're doing this is because I need to uncover the best Licids in the game. You might ask why somebody might need to do that. It's because I need to play Rootwater Matriarch. It is 2 colorless, 2 blue, a 2/3 merfolk from Tempest. You can tap it to gain control of target creature as long as that creature has any enchantments on it. You might ask why the hell I need to play Rootwater Matriarch. Well, I don't, but I thought it would be a fun card to brew with. We uncovered this in one of our episodes when we were trying to find budget rares from Tempest. Things that aren't really appreciated that we could pick up for cheap and we could potentially brew some cool decks with. I think I could do some things with Rootwater Matriarch. I could at least make a deck that I could win with 30% of the time, I think.
No, I think it's a good enough card to play around with and to build around.
I do too. Yeah.
It's a combo deck card. It's cool. I wish she was like 1/1 and cost 1 mana less.
1 mana less would be nice. I don't want a 1/1 though. I'm glad she's not 2. She's not 1.
Yeah, I mean anything better than a 1/1, of course. 1/2 or above, safer. But yeah,
she can't be summoned. She can't be pinged. She could be serrated, arrowed, but that would have to occur over the course of 3 turns, unless somebody had something to untap serrated arrows and tap. But I think a Licid could work well here.
Yeah, I think so.
Because it's not only an enchantment, it's also a creature. That means that if my opponent hasn't played any creatures yet, I don't just have a dead card sitting in my hand. I could always play it as a creature. just to start doing something. I like the Licids because they're harder to target with removal. And I could also use a Licid to enchant one of my other creatures to beef it up in some way, to give it some special ability. And then when my opponent in the future plays something that I do want to steal, I could move it off of my creature and then move it onto theirs. So I like the versatility. I like the ability to move them around. I like that they're harder to get rid of than just a standard enchantment. Last week, in discussing the Tempest Licids, I decided that they're underwhelming. I almost said the opposite of what I thought. They're not overwhelming, they're underwhelming. Although I do like Quickening Licid for its low casting cost. It's currently in my Matriarch deck. I like the ability to give things first strike. This week, we're going to discuss the Licids from Stronghold and Exodus, the 13th and 14th expansion sets in Magic the Gathering. Both of those sets were printed in 1998. These Licids have bigger bodies than the Tempest Licids, and they have higher casting costs. But are they better than the Tempest Licids? We shall see. The first one that I want to talk about is Calming Licid. This is the White Licid. It is an uncommon from Stronghold and printed in the list. It has a casting cost of 2 colorless, 1 white. It is 2/2. You can pay 1 white and tap it. If you do so, Calming Licid loses this ability and becomes a creature enchantment that reads, enchanted creature cannot attack instead of a creature. Move Calming Licid on to target creature. You may pay 1 white to end this effect. It has a rating of 3.267 on Gatherer. Current market price of 17 cents for the original printing.
Okay.
I think this is a pretty cool effect in general. I like the art a lot. This like giant beast, almost like a mutant human.
I didn't even realize how much bigger. I didn't see the guy in front of him. I thought it was a shadow, and I thought he was just a lot closer than all the other people. But you're right. He's massive.
Calming down the ogre. But for me personally, it's kind of worthless if I want to run this in my Rootwater Matriarch deck, because it'll give me a creature that I can't attack with. You know, if I attach a Calming Licid to the creature that I want to steal, then I gain a creature that can't attack. Doesn't do me any good. Well, that's not true. It does me good as a big blocker. It will prevent my opponent from attacking me with that creature. But there are much better Licids to run.
Yeah, well, I mean, once you take control of it, you can. Oh wait, if you remove it, then you lose control of the. Yeah.
The good thing about Rootwater Matriarch is you don't have to keep Rootwater Matriarch tapped to keep the creature. So you could steal multiple creatures with one Rootwater Matriarch, but the creatures you take have to remain enchanted.
Yeah. Okay.
So in general, I like the card. I don't love it as a Licid for my particular needs with the Rootwater Matriarch deck. Second Stronghold Licid, unless you had anything else to say about this one.
Nope.
Is Gliding Licid. Again, an uncommon. No reprints. It is 2/2. You can pay 1 blue. Gliding Licid loses its ability and becomes a creature enchantment that reads, enchanted creature gains flying instead of a creature. Move Gliding Licid onto target creature. You may pay 1 blue to end this effect. It has a rating of 3.175 on Gatherer. Current market price of only 19 cents. Load up on your Licids now, people.
I like how the like variation of the Licid in the artwork here is like a I don't even know how to describe it, but it's, you know, very stylized, so it fits in with the flying person. You know, it looks kind of like a swoopy helm or a feathery crest.
And a vest. Nice ability. Again, but for my particular needs, my particular desires in my Rootwater Matriarch deck, I won't be running this because I have Shimmering Wings to give things flying.
Yeah.
And I can also move Shimmering Rings around to different creatures.
Yeah.
So why pay 3 mana plus 1 more mana to have the effect.
Yeah.
When
Only
I
if
could
you
just
need that 2/2.
unless I really need the 2/2, but don't need a 2/2 that bad. Next one. The black licid. Corrupting licid.
Erupting. Yeah. Okay.
Uncommon. No reprints. 2 colorless, 1 black. Summon licid. It's again a 2/2. You can pay 1 black and tap. Corrupting licid loses his ability and becomes a creature enchantment that reads, enchanted creature cannot be blocked except by artifact creatures and black creatures instead of a creature. Move corrupting licid onto target creature. You may pay 1 black to end this effect. Rating
So
of 3.074 on Gatherer. Current market price 17 cents. What were you going to say, Alex?
Yeah, I just gonna say you get a fear effect.
Yeah.
With this one.
I like this one better.
Yeah. It's not bad.
Than the 2 we've seen so far.
This is like the only one too where the licid is like remotely controlling the person, I think.
I think somebody said that on Gatherer too.
Oh, really?
And it is true because every other licid is attached to the person's face or head. They're face huggers.
Yeah, and maybe it has like a real long like tendril or something. He's tapping in with her, but it looks kind of like whispering from over in the corner.
I also don't know what it is that he's enchanting either. Some sort of demented tree folk. Oh, it looks like here's one. It looks like one is almost like grown into the body.
Yeah, I wonder if that's what's supposed to have happened. I saw that too. It looks like kind of like the legs on the back. Yeah. So maybe it's like merged with him already, and this is just another one over here. Because I don't think that thing I'm assuming it was more like a person originally, and now it's turned into whatever that is. Pumpkinhead.
I like this guy. I think there are a lot of ways in Magic though to give creatures fear effects.
Yeah,
I don't think I'd be running this if I wanted a fear effect.
And they usually don't end up like making the cut either. So
yeah. That is true. I do have a deck that I built based around fear effects, but it's really a shadow deck, and the effect is built into the creature already.
Yeah.
And I won't be running this in my Rootwater Matriarch deck because my current Rootwater Matriarch deck is blue-white. I'll probably make a blue-green variant. I don't see myself making a blue-black variant unless there are some really cool enchantments that I could potentially put into it that I just haven't come across yet. But so far, in my opinion, what the best color combos to run in this type of deck are blue-white, blue-green, because of the enchantments I compare with Rootwater Matriarch in those 2 colors. Next licid is the red licid from Stronghold. It is convulsing licid. It is the licid with the best art, in my opinion.
Now we're getting back into some more of this, freaky face hugger action.
No reprints on this one. Summon licid, a true face hugger, probably the most face huggiest of all the licids we've seen so far. 2/2, you can pay 1 red. Convulsing licid loses its ability, becomes a creature enchantment that reads, enchanted creature cannot block instead of a creature. Move convulsing licid onto target creature. You may pay red to end this effect. In my opinion, the worst of the group so far.
It's not so hot.
But probably the best art.
Yeah, cool art. Not so hot though.
I like that he's showing his nips. I don't know what kind of outfit this guy, I don't know what he's up to.
Looks kind of like a jester kind of guy. Like
jester
a jester
showing off his nips. A jester, warrior.
Jester gladiator.
Shield, sword. Jester's outfit. Face hugger.
Licid hat.
Last one. From Stronghold. Is tempting licid. Here we're getting into the green one. Here we're getting into one that might make it into my Rootwater Matriarch deck because of the effect, but also because of the color. No reprints. 2 colorless, 1 green. Summon licid, 2/2. You can pay 1 green and tap. Tempting licid loses this ability and becomes a creature enchantment that reads, All creatures able to block enchanted creature do so instead of a creature. Move Tempting Licid onto target creature. You may pay green to end this effect. It has a rating of 3.889 on Gatherer. Current market price of 28 cents. The market has spoken. Gatherer has spoken. This is the highest rated Licid we've seen so far. This is the most expensive Licid we've seen so far. I think it's the most useful too. I thought about this not only outside, not only in my Rootwater Matriarch deck, but I'm like, should I put this in my commander deck potentially?
Oh yeah.
One, of course, you can strap this onto things like cockatrice and stuff. The standard poison creature lore combo we all used to run back when we were 13. I have Elvish or Elven Warhounds in my commander deck. That's the creature, when creatures block the Warhounds, they go back on top of the owner's library, right?
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's a good combo. I like that combo.
I think it's on. Oh, geez, what is this?
Oh my gosh.
Well, it's an unhinged card. I don't know how I came up with that. Warhounds. I think they end up back on the library, not just in the hand. If Elven Warhounds is blocked by any creature, put that creature on top of owner's library. Yeah. So imagine that.
That's a nice combo.
You're in a commander game. You're in a stalemate or potentially behind. You tempt up your Warhounds and attack. All your opponent's creatures end up on top of their library. Not only do they have to rebuild their battlefield, but they're drawing stuff they've already drawn all game. So that can change everything. I also thought, I have a token generating deck, mostly. Strap the Tempting Licid onto a token.
Yeah, just on a weenie and make everything block it.
And then you just go through for lethal with everything else.
Yeah, for sure.
So
I like stuff that changes blockers around. I have a soft spot for effects like that because I like combat tricks in general. Mm-hmm. I'm always kind of trying to slide a few combat trick spells into my decks.
I think generally it's a pretty strong card. Probably not that many people play it. I don't know, outside of my Rootwater Matriarch deck, that I'd put it in like a 60 card constructed deck, but definitely I see a place for this in commander decks and maybe even in my commander deck.
I like it.
Mostly because of the ability
maybe
to get through for lethal.
Yeah, I mean, even I guess to cast really. Overall it does something neat. It's 2/2. Only 3 mana.
All the good stuff. I think it's pretty good. That is the Stronghold Licid cycle, but there are still more Licids to cover, Alex. They printed 2 Licids in Exodus. I don't know why they just went with 2.
Huh?
I don't know why they just went with 2.
Oh, yeah, right.
Dominating Licid, which we talked about previously.
This was the first one I saw.
Yeah.
And you saw, I think, also?
I think you showed it to me. It was the first one that I had seen. Rare from Exodus, no reprints. 1 colorless, 2 blue, summon Licid. It is a 1/1. You can pay 1 colorless and 2 blue and tap. Dominating Licid becomes a creature enchantment that reads, gain control of enchanted creature instead of any other type of permanent. Move Dominating Licid onto target creature. You may pay blue to end this effect. I was just talking about how Tempted Licid was the most expensive. It was the highest rated on Gatherer. Not true. Dominating Licid is the most expensive at $2. It's a rare. And it has the highest rating on Gatherer, 4.440. The first Licid I ever saw, the highest rated Licid, the most expensive Licid, and overall, a great ability. Not needed for my Rootwater Matriarch deck, because the Rootwater Matriarch deck already steals things. Mm-hmm. I don't want to put another creature in that steals things. But overall, fun for any blue EDH deck. I mean, why not have a control magic on a stick that you could use to evade removal and steal different creatures as they show up and get better and better throughout the game? I like the dominating licid. And then the last one, officially, I believe the last licid ever printed.
Oh, really?
I think. I think Exodus was it. If anybody listening knows of any other licids that were printed after Exodus, tell me. I need to know. Transmogrifying licid. Yes, I did spell it right. I'm very proud of myself. It's 3 colorless, 2/2. Transmogrifying licid counts as a licid, in case you're confused about that. Is it a licid or not? Yes, it is a licid. It's an artifact creature, 2/2. You can pay 1 colorless and tap. Transmogrifying licid becomes a creature enchantment that reads, enchanted creature gets +1/+1 and counts as an artifact instead of any other type of permanent. Move transmogrifying licid onto target creature. You may pay 1 colorless to end this effect. Rating of 3.197 on Gather, a current market price of 28 cents. Alex, will I put this in the pump?
Will you?
No, it's terrible, I think.
I have a couple things to say about this.
Okay.
One, after I saw it after last week, and I thought it was, I was like, I noted it. I was like, oh, because I was thinking to myself when we saw the green one last week that maybe a neat green, I think, what did it give it? Give regeneration?
Yes.
I was like, it would have been cool if they had, using green done like target creature gets +1/+1 and has trample, maybe something like that, some like pump style thing. So I was like, that would go well for like a green one. And then I saw this and I was like, oh well, they did that, but they only made it +1/+1, and they had to do why does it have to make the thing count as an artifact? Like,
I don't know.
If the Licid's an artifact, like it doesn't like turn the mind control person into an artifact too, really, right? It would just, they didn't have to add that. It just makes it worse. And it's just +1/+1. They could have made it, I don't know, +3/+3, something.
That's what I was thinking. It would be quite awesome. I don't know that it would be too powerful. Certainly not in today's context, but not even back in this time period, to give a repeated activatable +3/+3 that you could only activate once.
Yeah,
you can pass it's not like you can make it +6/+6 +9/+9. You have to tap to give it that ability. That would have been much cooler and not overpowered.
Mm-hmm.
And actually would have fit well in the Stronghold or Exodus, since we've seen the Stronghold Licids get more powerful than the Tempest Licids in general. I think the Exodus dominating Licid, at least, is quite powerful. They could have made this one a little bit more powerful too. I don't understand where they were going with this flavor-wise or power-wise.
And they hadn't done an artifact one yet, so they were obviously sort of like, oh, like let's make an artifact one. But it's kind of like, I don't know. They went to all that trouble, but then they didn't make it very good.
Yeah, it's rather average. Not even below average, actually. I won't be playing the Transmogrifying Licid. That brings us to the end of the Licids, Alex. Personally, I like them. The only one I'm playing right now is Quickening Licid. That's a Tempest Licid. 2 casting cost, 1/1. It can give a creature first strike, but it enchants the creature. I'm playing it in my Rootwater Matriarch deck because I like the ability and I like the low casting cost. I'll probably also try Tempting Licid, give that one a shot sometime in that shell when I make my green-blue Rootwater Matriarch deck. Dominating Licid, I'll probably play in an EDH deck whenever I get around to making a Commander deck with blue in it. Might throw that in there. That's all I had to say, really, after reviewing the Licids from Tempest, Stronghold, and Exodus. Do you have anything to add, Alex?
I don't think so. Just that they're, I think they give you something that's really hard to get rid of. Like if you're playing opposite someone who's playing Licids, I could see it being very frustrating. Other than that, I mean, yeah, I don't know. Some of their effects are underwhelming, so I feel like you kind of have to lean towards the 3 decent ones.
Yeah, definitely. I guess one thing I didn't think about is because since they're confusing rule-wise in a lot of ways, you could play them in your deck and you could just pretend like they work in ways that they don't actually work, and your opponent might not know. So if you just want to cheat, if you just want to be a jerk and you want to cheat at Magic, maybe throw some Licids in there, because people will just be confused, and you can be like, yeah, that's how they work. Don't worry about it. Don't look it up. Don't attack me. I'm not serious about that, people. I've been seeing lots of arguments about cheating on our Magic Twitter recently,
Oh, really?
especially in Commander tournaments. And I think it's happening. I don't know. I was going to say, I think it's happening more often in online tournaments, but I shouldn't say that because I don't know that that's true. It could be getting picked up more often in online tournaments because things are being recorded and watched by multiple people. So they're noticing things after the fact, and then coming after people, showing them the evidence. It blows my mind that people cheat at Magic the Gathering.
I know. It blows my mind people cheat at anything, really, but yeah,
that's true.
Especially this, like, I understand money can be involved, but I don't know, it's a game. Like, what were people arguing over, or were you just talking about like just various discussions of things and seeing if people were cheating and some people were?
Oh no, so somebody's saying, again for the nth time recently they found out that they were matched up against and lost to somebody in a tournament who was pegged as a cheater later on. So, you're playing in this tournament, you're trying your hardest to advance, and you find out that the person that knocked you out of the tournament a couple rounds ago has now gotten in trouble for cheating in the very same tournament. What are the odds that they didn't cheat against you also? Yeah. So like real instances of people getting nailed for improper shuffling. I don't know exactly what they were doing, but essentially stacking their decks, shuffling in a way that it wasn't properly randomizing, their top 7 cards or whatever, so they can make sure that they get what they need consistently. Just most basic form of cheating, really. You can pull off in Magic the Gathering at the moment. I don't know this for fact, but I'm assuming it's shuffling improperly.
I know what you mean. Yeah, it's as a card game that works like a traditional card game. It's deck manipulation and
Exactly. How do you do that? You hide cards in your sleeve. You mark cards, which is harder nowadays, I'm assuming, since everything has dark sleeve backs.
Harder, but I mean, we saw that one. Remember, we talked about the one article a while back where
mark your sleeve back too.
They showed people. Yeah, the guy had like corners of some of his sleeves just like dented a little bit, and it's like, I'm not going to see that probably looking across the table of my opponent's deck. I'm thinking about a million other things right then. I'm probably not like examining it that closely.
That's true. Also, all these sleeves these days, they're colored on the back too. I wonder if you purchase multiple boxes of colored sleeves from the same manufacturer,
they will vary.
Is the black always exactly the same black?
I probably not. No,
probably not.
You're probably right. I've seen people online, like on Reddit, talking about how certain colors of certain brands are slightly see-through, I believe, and they were talking about like, doing it with like basic lands, like having all your basic lands like be, you can see where they are in the deck, either because the sleeves are see-through or because the ink on the cards is different for some reason. Someone alleged that cards from Ice Age printings were like visibly different on the backs, and that was the first time I'd ever heard of that. I don't know if that's true or not. No one like argued with him or corrected him, but it was the first I had ever heard of anything like that.
Yeah. And minor stuff like that, minor variations in coloration, things being slightly see-through, you might pick that up in person if you get deck checked, if you have a judge going through them, if you're checking your opponent's deck, you're going through them closely. But on a webcam,
that's crazy.
You probably won't be able to see a lot of that stuff. Anyways, we're done with the Licids. I think we're going to move on to segment 2 of today's show, Alex. Segment 2, we're going to cover some Wilds of Eldraine news, some brand new magic, but not everything about Wilds of Eldraine.
No.
Wilds of Eldraine Enchanting Tales, specifically, is what we're going to discuss. Do you know what Enchanting Tales is?
No. I've heard
it
of this.
It is a non-standard set of cards that's associated with Wilds of Eldraine. It's a full reprint set, which is why we're talking about it, because you know what I love most about these new sets, Alex. I love reprints of pre-modern legal cards, which allows me to pick up copies of pre-modern legal cards cheaper. It contains 63 enchantments. It's all enchantments. 18 commons, 30 rares, 15 mythic rares. Here's some of them right now. The cards will only be legal in formats that they were already legal in, and in historic, which is a format that I learned is unique to Arena. So don't ask me to talk about it because I don't really care. The art is really cool in my opinion. Different artists, but if you like, I'm just scanning. I have them all pulled up here on Scryfall, just scanning. Different artists,
yes,
but it's really.
Sorry. I saw the curiosity from this. Remember, I brought that up.
Oh yeah, okay.
A week
it's
or
really
two ago.
Quite cohesive. So I like how they did that. There must have been some interaction. Art director giving guidance to all the different artists. They must have tried to come up with a cohesive looking set in some way.
I like that Blood Moon.
Yes. I'm going to go over not all of these cards, but I'm going to go over cards that are reprints of old frame cards. I tend to like to pick up the old frame version, the original version. I pay attention to what cards are being reprinted in new sets, because often after a reprint, not only can you get the reprinted copy much cheaper than the original, but typically what happens is the original version drops in price quite significantly. You can snag it 3 to 6 months after the reprint at a much lower price. So what am I going to do with this segment? We're going to find reprints of old frame cards. We're going to review what the card does. We're going to look at the price of the Wilds of Eldraine copy. What can you pick that up for? We're going to look at the price of the original copy, see if it's starting to drop already. I'm going to start with Aggravated Assault. Aggravated Assault is a 2 colorless, 1 red enchantment for 3 colorless and 2 red. You can untap all creatures you control. After this main phase, there's an additional combat phase, followed by an additional main phase. Activate only as a sorcery. So you can use this to attack, untap, and attack with your creatures multiple times. If you can flare that mana up, you could maybe do this even more than once. There's different art treatments. You can see here. I think this is, I think it's received an anime art treatment. That's what this is.
Oh, yeah, I see that. Yeah.
Some of these are pretty cool. I don't love others. Others are a little bit too creepy, in my opinion, the way anime art gets sometimes.
Yep.
Originally printed in Onslaught.
I was going to ask. For some reason,
price.
I thought this was older than that, but...
I did too. There's a card from Visions that's very similar to this.
I was going to say, there must be another card.
Relentless Assault.
Okay, yeah. All right.
And I think that's 2 colorless, 2 red, and it allows you to do this once. And I think it's a sorcery. But this is an enchantment that you can essentially activate multiple times. Wild of Eldraine's copy you can get for like $3-4. The Onslaught one, $33. So prior to this being printed, I mean, if you wanted to pick up this card, it was a $30 card, 30 plus. Now you can pick it up for $3 or $4. We'll see if MTG Stocks agrees with me today. MTG Stocks, will you allow me to do what I would like to do? We shall see. Pulling up the price chart of the Onslaught version, not the anime borderless one. I wonder how much of this is going to be printed. Must be a lot if this card is down to like $3.
Well, so I did see a little bit about this. Like I heard that it was, like you said, non-standard and associated with it, but I never found out what exactly that means as far as like where you get the cards. Is it are they in their own packs, or do they show up in other packs? How does that work?
I guess I don't know that for a fact, but I thought that you bought it separately.
Okay.
But I really don't know. I could be saying the completely wrong thing. And MTG Stocks is not agreeing with me. So maybe we won't be doing one of the things I was planning on doing. I gotta contact the developers at MTG Stocks. I gotta be like, listen, guys, I have a show to run. What are you doing over here? Because it's acting up not just when I'm recording, but when I try to use this site at home. When I first found this site, I don't feel like we were having that many problems with it. I'd go on MTG Stocks, I'd pull something.
Yeah. Used to pull it up.
I'd type something in, pull it up.
Specifically.
I got it now, but I've found myself for the past month or so, like having to constantly reload to get the price charts to show. Anyways, it's been going up for a few years, reached $40 some. You can see right here, it dipped hard mid-July. This is probably when something was announced. I predict down to $20 within the next 6 months. That's aggravated assault.
That wouldn't surprise me.
Next, we have Blood Moon. Blood Moon has a pretty cool art treatment here. Although when it comes to this Four Horsemen stuff, this really old stuff, all I want is the OG.
It's hard to beat, yeah. When it's really old cards, it's hard to beat the OG ones. But this is cool. If you can't afford a really old one,
this is very cool. $6.53 right now for this treatment. We got this treatment, which is more of an homage to the original. $13.71. $13.71 at the moment.
That's cool. Ooh.
That is pretty cool.
Unlike the set symbol.
Yeah. Whatever.
It just looks out of place there with like everything else.
$5-6. When was the last time you could pick up a Blood Moon for $5-6? I mean, the Chronicles Blood Moon is $10, I think, right? Originally printed in the dark, one of the most classic and best cards from the dark. I have one of these from the dark. I want to pick up at least one more for some budget old school decks, because I will not be purchasing play sets of dual lands. Those days are long gone when I could do that. Used to have them, sold them, not going to be buying them back. Cost me way too much money.
So you'll just play Blood Moon decks instead.
Just playing Blood Moon. I'm just playing Blood Moon and Energy Flux because I have no Moxes, never will.
Don't have dual lands. Of a bitter old man.
Don't have dual lands, never will. But I can pick up a couple Blood Moons. So just deal with it, people, or don't play duels. Current market price $80. It's coming down for a little while, but it has been coming down for a while. Everything in the dark and a lot of these old sets and a lot of the new sets, stuff just been coming down for a year or more consistently. But Blood Moon, more so than most cards from the dark, is holding its price. It's not going down.
And this didn't have as much of a wild spike either. You can see it's just kind of like more of a gentle increase over this whole period, obviously, because it's, has been playable and desirable before the spike. And there's also multiple copies of it. So it's probably a little more resilient to, sudden volatility.
I don't expect a lot of like crazy price action in Blood Moon because, like you said, it's highly playable. A lot of people pick up this card not just because they're like, oh, this is an old card I can speculate on. They pick it up because it's one of the best cards from the dark, easily. It's a card that a lot of people put in old school decks. It's also probably not as ripe for speculation because it has been reprinted prior in Chronicles. I kind of like cards like that do have a prior reprint. Because when you have things that haven't been reprinted prior, you get a lot of speculators that slide in there. They target things that haven't been reprinted.
When you say prior, you mean what, prior to the most recent reprinting?
Chronicles. It was printed in Chronicles. It was printed in some other editions too.
There's been a couple. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It's been in several editions.
Yeah, it's out there. So the
8th, 9th, Double Masters, Modern Masters. Amonkhet,
less ripe for speculation. Less ripe for speculation. The price of the original Blood Moon, it's going up because people want this. They're not just I think they're not just targeting it as something that might be subjected to buyouts at some point in the future, because people like to buy things that haven't been reprinted and try to buy them out, try to make them spike, try to sell them afterwards, pump and dump. Blood Moon isn't a pump and dump card. It's a card that people really like, people really love for several reasons. So they try to pick it up. So I don't expect this to plummet. It's already been reprinted many times before.
You see this Secret Lair version of Blood Moon that looks like some sort of astronomical chart?
Yes, I have seen that before. And I don't even know what price that goes for. It's NA here on
maybe it's not out yet.
No, I think it is. Because I've seen these before. Are they on Scryfall?
I can't see the text on here to see the year.
Secret Lair drop right here. Oh, so Scryfall assigns a price of $21.09 to this.
You see what year that says? 2022. Okay.
It is pretty neat, actually.
It's neat. It doesn't look like a Blood Moon.
Doesn't look like a Magic card either.
I don't know. I don't know what that is if someone sets it down across from me, but I'd like to see what this whole Secret Lair looked like, and that's another one that might be cool, like, on a wall in a frame or something.
$BM.
What that
weird. Anyways, that's Blood Moon.
That's Blood Moon.
Like to see that reprinted. You can get it cheaper than you've been able to get. Yeah, because
I'd like to get some dark ones.
Compulsion. Originally a Torment card.
Oh, okay.
Got a new art treatment here. The Torment art treatment is much creepier. They don't look like the same card if you look at the two different art treatments. Very different interpretations of what Compulsion should look like. Super cheap, 3 cents for the Wilds of Eldraine's copy, but the Torment copy was 17 cents too. So I'd say here, if you want a Compulsion, just pick whatever your favorite treatment is, whatever your favorite border is. Get that one. Interesting card, but this reprint isn't going to do anything really to your ability to pick this card up. Everybody who wanted this card could get this card already. It was not price prohibitive. 1 colorless, 1 blue enchantment. Pay 1 colorless and 1 blue to discard a card and draw a card. Pay 1 colorless, 1 blue to sacrifice Compulsion, draw a card. Better ways to do this. I can't think of anything that's exactly like this.
Yeah, I was trying to think if you wanted in like a black graveyard deck so that you could make use of the discard a card effect, but that's about the only reason I can see.
So many ways to discard cards too.
Yeah.
I'm thinking right now off the top of my head, a lot of creatures in blue that can do this. Low creatures for low mana. Now creatures are more sensitive to removal than enchantments, but I don't know. This is also kind of mana hungry for to do.
Yeah.
Most of the creatures that do this, you play the creature for 1 or 2 and you tap it to have this effect. Curiosity is another one I noticed. An original old frame card, reprinted in Enchanting Tales. This reminds me very much of The Little Mermaid for some reason. The art. Ursula should be
because it's a mermaid.
Well, oh yeah, but not more than that. I know that it's a mermaid, but it reminds me very specifically of Ursula.
Oh, okay.
Something about the art.
Yes, that I can see. Kind of like the eyes that are just white, maybe, or like I don't know if she has just white eyes. Maybe
that's right. But isn't there a famous scene where she gets angry and her eyes turn white and there's like tendrils or like smoke or something?
That sounds right. I'm not a Little Mermaid expert, but
neither am I. It's been a long time.
I agree with you now that you said Ursula, because that some of that spookier art. Yeah.
We don't have multiple treatments of this. You want Curiosity from Enchanting Tales, this is your only option. 12 cents, originally printed in Exodus, 66 cents.
Mhm.
This has Miri featured on it. Here you got Merfolk. If you prefer Miri, go with the Exodus copy. If you prefer Merfolk, go with the Wilds of Eldraine copy. If you prefer New Border, go with the Wilds of Eldraine copy. If you prefer Old Border, go with the Exodus copy. They're both affordable. Again, cool reprint, but it was not price prohibitive. It was already super cheap. Pick whatever your preferred art treatment is.
I'll say I don't dislike the Exodus one, but it's also kind of like nothing special art wise. It doesn't like, like it's kind of cool for being in the theme of those sets. If you have other cards from that, you're trying to have all your like, Weatherlight characters and stuff out. But I kind of like the new card enough that I have this in on my Moxfield deck that has Curiosity in it.
Yeah, I do too. I'm an Old Border fan, but I don't actually love the art for the original Curiosity. What did the other ones look like? Don't love that one. 8th edition.
Yeah.
Innistrad has not enough detail. Looks too digital.
It's all kind of like shaded out too.
Shaded out, yeah. Masters 25, Mystery Booster, Secret Layer Drop. I don't know what this is.
I can't tell.
A rice ball? A rice ball with a body?
I have no idea.
Anyways. Curiosity. Old frame card, reprinted in Enchanting Tales. Next one was one I was excited to see. Defense of the Heart.
Ah.
Originally printed in Urza's Legacy. It's a brown $15 right now.
I'd like, yeah.
3 colorless, 1 green enchantment. At the beginning of your upkeep, if an opponent controls 3 or more creatures, sacrifice Defense of the Heart, search your library for up to 2 creature cards, put those cards onto the battlefield, then shuffle. This is a card that I haven't put into my commander deck, but I've considered it. I probably should, right? I mean, most of the time, unless you get killed right away, there's going to be an opponent that has 3 or more creatures, right?
I think so.
In a 4-player game?
I think so. And if you have enough, higher casting cost creatures that this will help you cheat them out, like I don't see why not. I've mentioned it a few times now. I'm looking for, dang it. What's my card?
I like both art treatments. Wilds of Eldraine, you get a couple different art treatments. This art treatment, I don't know what they're calling it. I really like this. This is super cool.
Yeah. I was going to say Pattern of Rebirth. Sorry. I've mentioned Pattern of Rebirth a lot, and this is sort of like the, in a commander game, a nice like switch to go with.
Yes,
I do like how the
art treatment. Sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. I like the other one. I think the other one looks like I think the art matches the name of the card and stuff more than the Urza's Legacy one. I kind of like this art more than the Urza's Legacy.
I do too. If this was on an old frame, sweet sassy Molassie.
Yeah. This, because I still don't really know what's going on here, but
this is Rebecca. This is Rebecca Guay. But yes, the only reason I don't like it that much is because I don't like this creature, whatever it is. But the Wilds of Eldraine, you can pick up for $6, $7.
Okay.
Defense of the Heart, I feel like this has been on a downtrend too. Because when I first wanted to pick one up for my commander deck, I think it might have been around 20. I could also be making that up.
I was going to say, I think it was 20 a while ago.
This has not been reprinted. So it was Urza's Legacy and then Wilds of Eldraine. So here, if Wilds of Eldraine is printed at a high enough number, I don't know what the print run is. This is a better way to say it. If Wilds of Eldraine and Enchanting Tales has a high enough print run, we should see this drop. I mean, this has been $10 to $15, $10, then in the channel, $10 to $20 for a decade. That's kind of unusual. First time reprinting, I would predict a massive drop. A massive drop. And that's when I pounce.
Devastating.
That's when I jump in. That's when I scoop up all the Defense of the Hearts. That's when I pull a Rudy.
I kind of want to get the new one.
I did just say I love the art. It's much better. It's just the frame, Alex. It's just the frame.
I know.
But shout out to the new artist. Who is the new artist? Elena Richards. Shout out to her family. Shout out to Elena. Shout out to her family. Next reprinted enchantment. Originally old frame. Now available in a new frame in Wilds of Eldraine. Another card that I love. Goblin Bombardment. This, you could pick it up cheap in Tempest. $222. So it wasn't price prohibitive. Now I can get even cheaper. Wilds of Eldraine, 43 cents. Only one art treatment. One colorless, one red enchantment. Sacrifice a creature. Goblin Bombardment deals 1 damage to any target. This is such a good card.
I know.
I put it in my commander deck. I was looking at this list the other day and I was thinking, I don't have Enlightened Tutor in my commander deck.
Oh.
But I'm considering putting an Enlightened Tutor in just so I can go get my Goblin Bombardment and throw tokens at people to win the game. You don't even have to pay a mana.
I know.
To do the damage.
It's so fast to get out. It's only 2 mana to get it out and going, and you can use it immediately because you don't need to use mana to use it.
In any target. I'm like, oh, to finish the game, to go out to your opponent's face. But, I mean, yeah, you get this out early. They have a card that depends on manimals for... I mean, they have a deck that depends on manimals for ramp. You just pick off all their manimals.
True.
Sweet sassy molasses. The only thing is you have to be generating tokens, too, pretty early to do that. Anyways, I don't love this art.
I like it. I think it's cool.
Okay. You and I differ. There are multiple cards. It must be the same artist because they're all in the same style. Wilds of Eldraine. I don't love them. Look at the original Tempest. Look at all these gobos going. Oh, look at all these gobos whopping out, Alex. Gobos launching gobos. Doing what gobos do.
Yeah.
That's excellent. I don't know what's going on here. He looks like he's just like...
He's like,
it's a bomb.
He's flying through the air with the bomb. He's like riding it in.
I thought he was holding on to a smokestack, but yeah, he has a bomb. He's been launched. He's holding a bomb. He's going to bombard. Trebuchet in the back. Did I get that right, Alex? Is that a trebuchet?
Yeah, I think. Oh, I didn't even evaluate your... I didn't even like look at it clear. It looks like it though. It looks like it has a counterweight in the front.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Goblin Bombardment. Always love to see it. Although when it comes to price, it's not like I was waiting for a reprint of this. It was already cheap to pick up.
Yeah, no big deal.
Now this next one, I'm excited to see a reprint. I'm hoping get it even cheaper. Although this was also just reprinted in Commander Masters. So I think this should be coming down considerably. Grave Pact. 1 colorless, 3 black enchantment. Whenever a creature you control dies, each other player sacrifices a creature. This is a card that I haven't played with, but I'm like, there's obviously major opportunity here for Black Prison decks, right? With Grave Pact. I mean, token generation, sack outlets,
bringing things back from your graveyard, sack them again. Yeah, lots of creatures that allow themselves to be sacked or you to sacrifice other creatures. And it's good in Commander. I look at that and I'm instantly like, I want to. Maybe that's why I haven't tried it yet, because it makes me think it's more of a Commander card.
I was thinking more 60 card constructed.
Oh, but definitely,
deck.
You could definitely use it, yeah, in 60 card.
Now, this has been printed in, well, it originally came out in Stronghold, I believe. Yes, Stronghold.
Yeah.
It's in Commander Masters. It was in 8th edition and 9th edition. I mean, the 8th edition and the 9th edition copies are $20.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been
Stronghold
watching this
one.
for a while, and I haven't, touched it because it's been expensive.
Pull up the price chart here. I want the OG. I do. I really like the art on this original one too. Look at this dip, Alex. This
Unique.
is dipping. This is dipping fast, dipping fast and furious. It had to have been announcement of reprints. No, I don't remember when Commander Masters came out because everything just keeps happening. Things just never stop happening. Things happen. I forget about what just happened because there's too much stuff happening all the time. Wasn't Commander Masters
End of July?
Released? Okay. That's when it started dipping. Hard dip. Now it's going to go even harder.
Like as if into a grave.
Another reprint. They're coming fast and furious on Grave Pack. I predict Grave Pack down to 2016 prices or below.
Whoa.
By mid-2024. That's my prediction.
$7 or below? Is that what you're saying?
Yes. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
So I was excited about that one.
I can see it. Oh, sorry. I was going to go off on a tangent.
When I see a card that I haven't brewed with, but I think would be fun, and it's above $20, when I see that get reprinted, I get excited because I'm like, okay, it's coming down.
Yeah.
It's going to be much more affordable. I can pick it up. What were you going to ask me?
I was gonna bring up Hall of Gemstone and remark or ask if you remember how much we had seen that drop recently. It's gone way down.
Wasn't it about 20 when we first started talking about it?
It was over 20 because I think I got one for maybe like 17 or 19, and I think I felt like I got like a good deal.
You got screwed.
Yeah.
Yeah, because when we got back into Magic, I was like, the stuff in Mirage. Their Mirage cards were some of the things I was most excited to pick up, and they had started to go up a lot, like many things in 2020, 2021. And I didn't know. I mean, I expected things to come down. It was clearly in a bubble, but I didn't know how much these would come down.
Yeah,
I didn't know if we'd get back to 2016, 2015 prices.
And this is a playable reserve list card, so I thought it would be, either keep going up for a while or not come down too much. So I was surprised. We saw one at the convention. I believe it was like $6.
Yeah.
This
is informative when it comes to supply versus demand of Mirage reserve list cards.
It might be.
I don't watch a lot of Rudy, but I know that I've seen some of his videos where he talks about his Mirage positions and how there's a lot of Mirage reserve list cards that he thinks could have some major value in the future. I believe he said this. But yeah, look what happened during the great reserve list speculation of 2021. People went to Mirage because it's full of a lot of cards that are on the reserve list, and they've just absolutely plummeted.
Yeah,
because the demand isn't there for them. The demand versus the print run, it's just not there.
And I thought this card had, the fact that it has like cool, unique art going for would be like something going for it, and that didn't even seem to help at all. Like I think that's educational to me. Like you said, at least with Mirage, I don't know what print runs are like on Mirage compared to some of the other sets around it and today, but I know it was a highly printed set.
Yeah, because this is a much better and a much better looking reserve list card than a lot of the reserve list Mirage cards. Yeah. And this is just crashing.
Mirage was like almost, I don't know what the right word to use for it is, because it was almost like a standard set. They sold it in starter decks. And it was around for a while. So people were buying Mirage and using it as their entry point base block of their collection. And I would imagine, there's just a ton of it in circulation.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so.
It's been a while since I've looked at circulation numbers, so I can't really remember, but
But there's still a lot of Mirage cards that I didn't have the opportunity to pick up. So it's nice to see them coming back down because, well, I did overpay for some of them, like Hall of Gemstone, for instance. It was a huge set. There's still a lot that I didn't get. And now I have the opportunity to buy it cheap again, which is where I should have been buying it all along. But you can see a lot of the air is coming out of this bubble.
I didn't buy too much Mirage, luckily, recently because I had a fair amount of it already. So I don't think there was too much I felt like I needed to chase. I did buy a Shallow Grave, but that hasn't really come down. In fact, it might have gone up a little bit since when I bought one.
Not because that's highly playable.
Yeah. And Final Fortune's still doing pretty good. I'm looking at the Mirage price list right now. Final Fortune looks like it's still doing pretty good. $20 or above.
Where's Zerlon of the Claw? That was one that shot up like crazy.
I was just looking at that actually. I think
people were targeting it.
I just saw it. This says 10.
Did it go up to like 40 or am I crazy?
You can buy them for $6 near mint right now, Zerlon of the Claw. And TCG player, I'm looking, it goes back and it's saying, low 30s maybe at least. And I can't see it going back farther than that. So
that shot up like crazy in a very short period of time. And that did not last at all. Did not last at all. Because I remember I have two of them. I bought them around 10. Right before the spike really spiked. And I was like, oh, maybe I got lucky. I did not get lucky.
You did for a minute. You just didn't sell them.
I buy to never sell. That's the problem.
That was back when those dragons from Baldur's Gate and Forgotten
Realms. That's what it was.
Were popping off. Copper Dragon.
The great dragon speculation of 2022.
People were making lots of dragon decks.
Ground Seal. Next old frame card that's present in Wilds of Eldraine, Enchanting Tales. Originally printed at Odyssey. We talked about this in one of our cantrip episodes. It was one of our favorite cantrips from Odyssey. It's already cheap, and I can get it even cheaper. I love the old art. Pick that up for $1.35. If you don't need to make an old frame deck, if you're not attached to a new frame, if you're not attached to the old frame, the new frame version in Wild of Eldraine is also beautiful. And you can get it for 6 cents.
I like this new art.
It's a great card. 1 colorless, 1 green enchantment. When it enters the battlefield, draw a card. Cards in graveyards can't be the targets of spells or abilities. A niche use, but in a deck that wants that kind of effect, it's great.
Yeah. Sideboard in certain metas if there's lots of graveyard decks. I like the it's kind of reminds me of like Zelda artwork.
A lot of these remind me of Samurai Jack. I don't know what the style is.
Mm-hmm.
You obviously see that style outside of Samurai Jack too. It's a whole style. I don't know what it's called, but I always enjoyed that type of artwork. Yeah. Intruder Alarm. This is a 2 colorless, 1 blue enchantment. Creatures don't untap during their controller's untap steps. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield, untap all creatures. Originally printed in Stronghold, $10.59. You got Miri. You got a thing in the background. Don't know who that is. It's obviously another creature. Volrath.
I think it's Volrath, yeah.
Miri was started by Volrath's apparition. It had no scent. She didn't see him there. She couldn't smell. Stronghold was $10.59. This is great for people looking to pick up an Intruder Alarm because you can now get it out of Eldraine for 95 cents. That's awesome.
I like this new art too.
If you want to pick up a card, you can all of a sudden get it for 1/10 the price. Good to go. Also printed in 8th edition. Yeah, the art is really good. Actually, another case, if I wasn't attached to the old frame, this would be a clear winner.
Yeah, I think it's my favorite.
In my mind. Let me pull this up real quick on MTG stocks.
Which one? Intruder Alarm?
Yes.
I was trying to put Zerlin in and it won't let me search for it for some reason. I don't know if
I was having the same issue.
Site's going wonky.
Intruder Alarm. pulling up intruder alarm on MTG stocks, receiving the internal server error that I'm often
I just got some of that too.
On MTG stocks. Again, MTG stocks.
Type it in harder.
Devs, get your house in order. Alex and I have a show to run. Internal server error.
At least we have the spinning mana symbols.
I'm abandoning.
Keeping us afloat.
Eject. Pull out. Karmic Justice. Pulling this one up on Scryfall. This was an original Odyssey printing. 12-14. I think this was higher. I think you picked this up at some point. And then not
put in my commander deck.
Yeah. Not that long ago. Don't know how much it was around that time. I feel like this was closer to $20 not that long ago. 12-14. But again, we have an old frame card here that was available for $10 or more. Now you can pick it up for under $1 since it's been reprinted in Wilds of Eldraine. And again, with amazing art. I love this art. It tells the story. It's beautiful and creepy at the same time. I love the style.
Mm-hmm. All of this, yep.
2 colors, 1 white enchantment. Whenever a spell or ability an opponent controls destroys a non-creature permanent you control, you may destroy target permanent that opponent controls. It's a tit for tat.
Yeah,
you
art
fuck with
definitely
my
fits the
shit,
card.
I fuck with yours. Karmic Justice. So I like that. That's now going to be a lot cheaper for a lot of people who want to play it. The next one, Alex. The next one, I will always go with the original because the original was first printed in my favorite set of all time, Legends. But this art is amazing. I love it. Land tax, 1 white
cool.
enchantment. At the beginning of your upkeep, if an opponent controls more lands than you may search your library for up to 3 basic land cards, reveal them, put them into your hand, then shuffle. We talked a lot about land tax recently. We talked about it in pre-modern parfait decks. I was building my play set, but then they banned it in pre-modern. So I was like, okay, I don't need to pick up the 4th land tax. People still play it outside of pre-modern, though. It was not cheap to pick up. The Legends copies, I think, are around $70 still. They have the 4th edition copies, which I think were around $40. They have the Italian Legends copies. Might have been printed in 5th edition as well. 4th edition, gold bordered, Battle Royale box set. That's what that is. Promos, Commander Masters. This was just reprinted in Commander Masters. And now it's printed in Wilds of Eldraine. 2 different art treatments. This art treatment is awesome. This giant in the background, looking all jolly, rolling up the earth.
It's interesting. It's different. And they did all the bushes and trees in this very, like, also everything's round, everything's gear-like.
It looks so wholesome. It makes me feel good. It makes me feel like this guy's a real steward of the earth. Like everything's going to be okay when he's around. It doesn't feel land taxy, really. You know? It doesn't feel like this guy's taking advantage of me. This guy's scary. Very different feels.
Yeah. I don't like that one so much.
This guy's telling me everything's going to be all right. As he's rolling away my windmill.
That far away from him.
Yeah. Anyways, I love the new land tax art. If you're in the market for a land tax and you like new border, pick this up. This is fantastic. Me personally, if a card is available in Legends, I got to pick up a Legends copy. I just got to do it. I don't think this reprint's going to do much to a Legends copy. I think Legends
probably
low enough print run, classic enough card that there's always going to be a certain number of people, enough people like me who just need to pick up that original version. So
and they've reprinted it so much now recently at this point. I think they're, all the damage that could be done has been done,
That's how I feel. I could be totally wrong though, but
It might keep coming down a little, but I think it's about where it's going to be because of its historical, and specific aesthetic.
I think any moves that you're going to see in the land tax or Blood Moon price will be more due to general economic factors. People having to unload their cards because they need money.
Now I bet some of the other printings of land tax will go down.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Commander Masters, for instance. Don't even like this art.
Those kind of ones. It's okay. It's an interesting idea, but I just don't think it the way it ended up.
Execution.
Yeah, it just, I don't know. I like the idea. If you described that picture to me and I, imagined it in my head, it'd be kind of cool.
Next one. This is an original.
I also saw, sorry to interrupt you, Kindred Discovery I saw they did too, which is a modern card, but it's one that I've been interested in because I like that one art treatment with all the birds.
Modern cards. What are we doing, Alex?
I know.
All the birds.
It used to be Merfolk, but the Baldur's Gate one was all the birds.
Okay. Modern cards. Alex likes all the birds.
This was going up a little bit recently. I think it was prior to this set coming out. I think people were speculating on creature types.
3 colorless, 2 blue enchantment. As Kindred Discovery enters the battlefield, choose a creature type. Whenever a creature you control of the chosen type enters the battlefield or attacks, draw a card. I mean, amazing card draw engine.
Yeah.
Expensive to get out. You probably have to run it in a blue control deck. That's going to allow you time to build up that much mana. But yeah, when it hits the board, that's a bomb.
I bet you could sneak this out under the radar in a commander deck too. People are distracted with too many things going on, and
you go, "Hey, look over there," and then you tap the mana and you play enchantment.
It's a bird.
And then they go, "What did you just play?" And you say, "I didn't do anything." Next one I want to talk about is
copy art better.
Mana Flare.
Oh,
originally printed in alpha. Everybody knows Mana Flare. Nothing will happen to the price of this, right? I mean, Mana Flare is what it is. Everybody knows what it is at this point. People who want to get Mana Flares, they can get Mana Flares. If you wanted a revised edition, you could have afforded it. If you wanted a limited edition, you're going to buy the unlimited edition or the beta edition, whether or not a new one was printed in Wilds of Eldraine. But if you don't have any Mana Flares now, you could pick it up cheaper than the other copies that are available. It hasn't been printed since 5th edition.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I was surprised.
One of the first, when you pulled this up, I was gonna ask is this still used a lot? Because I didn't know. Because I never really even used this card. It was kind of under the radar to me back in the day. I knew of the card, but I just think I was pass. Don't want to play with that.
It's hard to build a competitive Mana Flare deck. It's like Howling Mine. There are ways to build around these cards to make sure that they benefit you more than your opponent. But unless you're really focused on building around them, they become just a card that everybody benefits from on the board. It's just kind of a more fun. It's a fun card, I feel like.
Yeah, I think the one thing it has going for it maybe is that it does what it does in red. So if you're not playing green and you need to be, need lands to produce extra mana for you. Know what I mean?
Red doesn't have many options to do this type of thing. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So if you want to play a big red deck, if you want to shiven the fuck out.
Also, this was different when Mana Burn existed.
That's true.
It could be a way to deal damage to your opponent if they're not prepared for it.
I love the new art, but the old art is a classic, Christopher Rush classic. I got to go with the OG, but the new one's pretty sweet too.
It just looks like a Magic card, the old one.
Yeah. But props
this is good though. I like that.
Props to Elena Richards. Again, shout out to Elena and her family. I shouted out Elena earlier. Defense of the Heart. I didn't even know it was the same person.
Mm-hmm.
She's got a style I enjoy. Next one, Necro. This is a card they're reprinting the shit out of.
I guess we're not reprinting the shit. I guess.
What'd you say?
I saw this art recently, I guess, because I don't think this is the first time I've seen it.
Everybody knows what Necro does. Pretty cool art. I was going to say it was just reprinted recently, but I guess it was only just part of the 30th layer anniversary countdown kit, which was not a huge printing, I don't think. When it comes to Necro, I'm old border all the way. Nothing beats the Skull Man, right? I mean, you just got to go.
Yeah, if you can afford an Ice Age copy with the black border.
Don't know, again, like I said, how big this printing will be. If it'll decrease the price of the original. I think the original has been coming down recently. Let's see if MTG Stocks cooperates.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to have luck with this. I tried a few times while we were talking.
I'm seeing the spinning mana symbol. Alex, just keep doing this. Spin your head.
Yeah, I have a 5th edition Necro, and it continually annoys me. I just want it to be Ice Age.
That doesn't have a black border.
Yeah, one of these days I'm going to have to get rid of it.
Okay, I'm quitting. I'm closing MTG Stocks. I'm done. I'm going to send some messages to the developers after the end of this episode. Be like, how do you expect creators to work like this? I got to go to TCG Player, but TCG Player only goes back 1 year.
Yeah. I'll look at TCG Player.
After Necro, we have 2 cards that start with the letter O that were recently reprinted.
Whoa.
Oppression. Originally printed in Urza's Saga as a rare, a $15 card that is now available for 69 cents. Love to see it. This is great. If you want to play a card like this, it's over $10, over $15. You can get it for under $1 now. It's fantastic for deck builders. 1 colorless, 2 black, enchantment. Whenever a player casts a spell, that player discards a card. Good way to get stuff in your graveyard. What else is it good for? I don't know.
Adding on to, just dogpiling onto discard.
Oh yeah, okay. So good way to get stuff in your graveyard, and a good way to get your opponent's stuff in their graveyard. And odds are, if you're not playing a graveyard mirror match, they don't want to put things in their graveyard. They want to hold it in their hand until they're ready to play it.
The race to the graveyard.
This is a card you can use to do something that you want to do for yourself, and to do something to your opponent at the same time that they don't want done to them.
Yeah, agreed. I haven't messed with this yet, but I would.
Yeah, it seems like it'd be fun to try to brew with. I haven't messed with it either.
By the way, Necropotence Ice Age is $25, $26 right now. It looks like going back a year, it had been around $40, according to TCG Player.
Okay, damn.
So that's a pretty big difference.
50% price drop, and we're seeing what is another reprint. I'll snag those babies for $10. If they get down to $10, I'm all over a playset of Ice Age Necros. And you really can't play a playset of Necros in any format. I don't know, can you? But we can play them against each other. We can just do a Necro Day. I never played a Necro Day. Yeah, just play Necro deck. We'll just build Necro decks. We'll agree that we're going to build Necro decks, and we can play them against each other's Necro deck, or we can play other powerful cards against the Necro deck to see how Necro stacks up. The next enchantment that was originally printed in an old frame set that's now reprinted in Wilds of Eldraine Enchanting Tales that also starts with the letter O is Oversold Cemetery. Originally printed in Onslaught as a rare, not that expensive. Right now, $5.45, but it was recently reprinted in Dominaria Remastered. It was much more expensive than $5.45. The price absolutely plummeted after this Dominaria Remastered reprint. I can't remember what the price was. I looked this up on MTG Stocks the other day, but now MTG Stocks is not cooperating with me. I don't know if you want to pull it up on TCG Player. What was it like a year ago?
Let's see.
I bet it was like $20 or more, even just a year ago.
I was gonna say 15 to 20, but I can't remember. I'm just guessing.
But it is 1 colorless, 1 black enchantment. At the beginning of your upkeep, if you have 4 or more creature cards in your graveyard, you may return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. Pretty cool card.
TCG Player says going back a year, like $17, and it's kind of been slowly coming down since then. Okay. And then it dropped a lot like in June.
Yeah, so let's say 17, almost $20 down to 5. That's a lot. That was fast.
Yeah.
Now you can pick it up for 37 cents, Wilds of Eldraine. If you don't mind the new border, this is really cool art.
Yeah, this art's sweet. And I like this card. I've been messing around with it a little bit with building decks, and I find myself wanting to put it into a fair amount of decks.
Now we're going to get into a couple enchantments that were originally printed in an old frame set, now reprinted in Wilds of Eldraine Enchanting Tales, and they start with the letter R. The first one is Repercussion. 1 colorless, 2 red. I thought this was really cool. I saw this. I don't think this ever caught my attention previously. Enchantment, whenever a creature is dealt damage, Repercussion deals that much damage to that creature's controller. It was originally printed in Urza's Destiny. It's a rare from Urza's Destiny. I don't think it has had a single reprint other than a secret layer drop until now.
Good card.
You could have picked it up for $20. Now you can get the new frame version for $2. I expect, since this is the first time it was reprinted, for the old frame version to drop considerably. That's the prediction I'm making.
Yeah, I would really like to play, if I were going to make a heat deck, like I would love to throw this in there. It's just the sort of thing that, I don't know, for some reason I like the idea that I can just now focus on doing damage to the creatures, and then like having it splash over to the opponent. Probably lets you play with some cool red spells that only deal damage to creatures as opposed to creatures and players, which you might not otherwise use normally.
I was telling you recently that I built some burn decks, and I'm forcing you to play it against me with my burn decks because I need to learn how to play red. And one of the things I need to learn the most is, when do you go straight to the face with your red, or when do you use it as suppressing fire?
Yeah.
And you don't have to make that decision when it comes to Repercussion. The only issue with Repercussion is, how often are you going to play against somebody that doesn't run creatures or runs very few creatures? Then you have Repercussions in your.
You have to have like redundant or backup damage dealing for stuff that you can.
But it seems to me like it would be a great card to sideboard. Yes. Sideboard this in your burn deck, and then if you're facing goblins or elves or something, you bring in the Repercussion and you play this, and then instead of sending bolts and incinerates and fire blasts into your opponent, you just send all those straight to their 1/1s and do the damage.
Just whittle them down that way while you're killing other creatures. Yeah.
I think that's how it would work. Somebody who's more experienced with burn, let me know. Maybe there's a reason people don't play this card that often.
One article, I guess we could save this for another episode, but you have an article that you had mentioned in your list of articles that I've read before, and it's about making that decision, basically about when you're playing like an aggressive deck and how to make the decision. Is like, my opponent's deck more aggressive than mine or less aggressive, and should I like ease off or hit the gas?
It's a Flores article, Mike Flores, the beatdown, something about the beatdown. I think
it's the beatdown. Yeah,
I know what you're talking about. I need to read it. And I have a couple other articles about how to play burn that I found recently. I need to read those. We're going to do some burn in 2024, I think. To read a little bit more about the philosophy of fire, play some burn decks against other types of burn decks, see how I can translate the information I gained from these articles into gameplay, and we could discuss. But I'm excited about this reprint. What was once a $20 card can now be had for $250. and the price of this is probably going to drop. That'd be cool.
Heck yeah. Heck yeah.
I like this old art too.
I do too. I like this group of people who I don't know if they have some you know, canon like in Magic here. They have a backstory or they've appeared in other cards or if they're some sort of group, but I think they're sweet. They all have cool weapons like maces and morning stars and stuff.
They look like Hindu gods of fire and flame or something. I don't know. There's not a lot of fire, but battle. Hindu gods of death or something. I don't know. I don't know what they are either. Not all Keld's warriors are found on the battlefield.
Okay. Oh, so this is like the farm families of the warriors, maybe.
Maybe. Anywho. The next card that was originally printed in an old frame set that is now printed in Wilds of Eldraine and Enchanting Tales and also starts with the letter R is Rhystic Studies.
Rhystic Study.
Study. I said studies. 2 colorless, 1 blue. Everybody knows what this card does. Enchantment. Whenever an opponent casts a spell, you may draw a card unless that player pays 1 colorless. Supposedly something everybody puts in all their commander decks. I think you put in your commander deck.
I'm not sure if I've been thinking about it. I might have skipped it by accident or like I had it on my list and my list got too tight. But I put like a Mystic Remora in, which is something that I could, switch out for this. They're, similar kind of ideas. But this is very good in Commander.
Originally printed in Prophecy as a common. It's the most expensive card from Prophecy. When we first came back to Magic and we were looking through these sets that didn't exist, when we played, I think we both noticed that. We were like, what? That's crazy that the most expensive card from a set is a common. That usually almost never happens. I don't know if it's the case with any other set. And then you start to go through Prophecy and you realize why. It's because everything in that set is largely garbage. Rhystic Study is like the one card people play from Prophecy.
Yeah.
I predict
but this it is very good. It would still be an expensive common, even if, there were other good cards in that set.
It's been printed before Jumpstart. I always forget what these are. These are like starter sets. Secret Lair drops.
I thought there had been a recent one, but I guess I'm wrong.
Yeah, it doesn't look like there was a lot of big reprints necessarily. Here you have Prophecy. Magic Online theme decks, Commander's Arsenal. I feel like a lot of these Magic Online promos.
What was the Secret Lair?
A prize pack. This is a Judge gift card. Online promo. Yeah, like they just didn't want to reprint this for a long time. Mystery Booster. Jumpstart. This is the Secret Lair drop.
Okay.
Riot Games Secret Lair.
Is that a Doctor Who?
It says Riot Games at the bottom.
2021.
Yeah, okay. Definitely not a Doctor Who. Yeah, they don't reprint this card that much. They just let it increase in price.
Weird. Well, now they will be.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if this was the first of multiple Rhystic Study reprints coming.
I like this one though. I like this art. This is super cool.
It's the best.
Yeah.
Reprint with what is, in my opinion, the best art.
They've got some good art overall recently. I've been pretty impressed. We've been talking about a lot of cards that they've come out with, whether they be special treatments or secret layers that have been pretty cool.
Enchanting Tales. I mean, I love the art in this. I mean, look at the Season of Growth. That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm loving all of these cards. I'm looking through them, and there are cards that I don't even know, but I'm like, that's cool. That's cool.
Unnatural Growth. Awesome. This is the same guy that did Lantex. I can tell by the trees.
That's cool. Yeah.
That's amazing.
That's a neat style to incorporate that like clockworky style into like the natural, world. Can you? Oh, never mind. That's funny.
Can I what? What'd you say?
I want you to go back to a card I only caught a glimpse of up above. That Sneak Attack was kind of cool though. That's funny. It was way up, actually. It was a white card. Keep going, keep going, keep going. Way, way, way up, way up, way up, way up. It was a long time.
All the way up.
Like in the G's or something.
In the G's.
That one, I think, was the Griffin Airy. That was what I looked at. I noticed the art on that when you zipped past it.
One colorless, one white enchantment at the beginning of your end step. If you gain 3 or more life this turn, create a 2/2 white griffin creature token with flying. Amazing synergy with Healing Salve. A Magic 2021 card. M21 printed in 2020. And then I got one more, Alex. There's just one more. Enchantment that was originally printed in an old frame set that is now reprinted here in Wilds of Eldraine. Enchanting Tales. And it's good that we're on the last one because my throat is dead for the day. I'm in pain. This card is Sneak Attack.
I can read it for you, Steve.
Originally printed in Urza's Saga as a rare. One of the major cards in the Sneak and Show decks. 3 colorless, 1 red, enchantment. Pay 1 red to choose a creature card from your hand, put that creature into play. The creature is unaffected by summoning sickness. At end of turn, sacrifice the creature. Seems really good.
I want to put that in red-black. That'd be nasty.
Can't remember what price that card was at. But when I looked up on MTG stocks the other day, I noted that it was on a decade-long downtrend. And I said, if you want to pick it up for under $10, wait until 2042. So we'll see how that plays out. I did if this trend continues. I drew lines. 2042 under $10. For the original copy, you can now pick up this Wilds of Eldraine copy for $4.32. You can pick up the anime version for $7.46. Also, it was reprinted in Dominaria Remastered recently. You can get the old frame Dominaria Remastered version for $5.92. That's probably what I'd go for.
They are a very affordable way to get some old border-looking cards.
Dominaria Remastered was awesome.
The only thing that's bad about it is that set symbol, and it saves me like $30 or something. I guess I'll deal with it.
Just learn how to alter cards, do very basic alters where you just alter the set symbol.
Not bad.
So you can just master how to draw the various art symbols. Be much easier than becoming like a proficient artist that can draw all sorts of different things. You just focus on the art symbols and matching the background color. Then you can pretty much make whatever you want.
I think that's forgery, basically.
It's alter. What are you talking about, Alex? I just pulled these out of my pocket.
What is it? What are they?
These are the caps to my tire valves. I just changed. I put air in my tires coming home.
You gotta keep that air in.
I realized I have all these in my pocket.
Cap them up. Keep the air in.
I think it's time for us to end the show, Alex, because this was the last of the Wilds of Eldraine Enchanting Tales cards I wanted to talk about, and I need to cap the valves on my tire so all the air doesn't leak out, else I'm going to be in trouble. There's no commander corner today because our decks are built. What I really need to do is evaluate my deck, make a couple substitutions.
Yeah, can we go back next week? I can make some changes. Let's come back next week and do something.
Okay. That's all I got for this episode. Thank you, everybody, for listening. When I started this episode, I forgot to beg people to subscribe to us on YouTube.
Oh, beg them
or
now.
Spotify or Apple Podcasts. So to the one listener that's made it this far, if you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe to us on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, or Spotify. We're on all those platforms. We're growing rapidly on YouTube. And when I say rapidly, I mean rapidly for our standards. We're like 3 to 4 new subs a week, which is amazing for us. We're totally smashing my very modest goal of 2 new subs per week for 2023. So that makes me happy, actually. A lot of people will look at that. They'd be like, give up. You guys are losers. You're never going to get anywhere at this pace. I don't give up.
We've heard it all before.
Slow and steady. Turtles win the race.
Water off a duck's back.
And you know what? Every year we're just going to get better. So this year, it's, 3 to 4 new subs a week. Next year, it's going to be 4 to 5 new subs a week. The year after that, who knows? It could be like
we'll be the
500 new subs a week.
We'll be the featured cosplay event at your company's Christmas party.
It would be amazing. Yeah, that's a goal for us. To at some point not just go to SCG Con Columbus just because, but to be an invited guest. You have anything to add, Alex? My throat hurts.
No, thank you. Thank you for tuning in, everyone. It was a pleasure.
I'm going to end the episode. I'm going to rest my vocal cords. I'm going to drink some tea with honey. And I'll talk to you next week.
Peace.